I need to get this out. Maybe it'll stop the nightmares. It happened just a few months ago, but it feels like yesterday. My name is Lily, and I work the late shift at a diner in a small town. After years of living here, nothing surprises me. Or at least, that's what I thought. That night started like any other. The diner was dead quiet, just me and the hum of the fluorescent lights. Around 2 a.m., I clocked out, waved goodbye to the cook, and got into my car. A beat-up sedan that only works when it feels like it. The roads were empty, as they always are at that hour. Just me and the endless stretch of asphalt, lit by my dim headlights. I turned on the radio to keep myself awake, but the static was worse than the silence, so I turned it off. That's when I saw her, a woman, standing on the shoulder of the road, her thumb out, wearing a faded green hoodie. She looked cold, desperate. I know it's not smart to pick up hitchhikers, but something about her felt different. She wasn't some drifter. She looked normal, like she could be someone I'd work with, someone I'd pass in the grocery store. Against my better judgment, I pulled over. She climbed in without a word, just nodded in thanks. Her hood covered most of her face, but I caught glimpses of her pale skin and red-rimmed eyes. I tried to break the ice. "Rough night?" I asked. She just shrugged, staring out the window. The silence was heavy, but I didn't press her. I figured she'd open up if she wanted to. A few miles down the road, she finally spoke. "Thanks for stopping. Not many people do." "No problem," I said, glancing at her. "Where are you headed?" She hesitated, then muttered, "Just drive. Anywhere's fine." It was odd, but I didn't argue. I just kept driving. That's when I started noticing things. She had no bag, no phone, not even a wallet. Her clothes looked old, like they hadn't been washed in weeks. But what really unsettled me was the smell. Faint, metallic, like copper. I tried to ignore it, but it clung to the air. About 15 minutes in, I realized I didn't even know her name. "I'm Lily, by the way," I said, trying to sound casual. She turned her head slightly, her hood still shadowing her face. "Beth." "Nice to meet you, Beth," I said, forcing a smile. She didn't respond. The tension in the car grew thicker with each passing minute. The road was dark, and my headlights barely pierced the blackness. I felt like we were the only two people left in the world. And then I saw it. A knife. It was tucked under her hoodie, just barely visible as she shifted in her seat. My heart stopped. I didn't let my face show it, but my mind raced. What had I done? I picked up a complete stranger, in the middle of nowhere, and now I was trapped in a moving metal box with her. I tried to stay calm, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. "So, where are you from?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. She didn't answer. I glanced at her, and for the first time, she was looking at me. Her hood had slipped back slightly, and I could see her face more clearly. Her eyes were wide, almost unblinking, and her lips were pressed into a thin line. "You missed the turn," she said suddenly. "What turn?" I asked, my voice shaky. "The one back there," she said, pointing behind us. "You need to turn around." I hadn't seen any turn. Panic bubbled in my chest, but I nodded. "Sure, I'll find a spot to turn around." I slowed the car, looking for a place to pull off, my mind racing with ways to get out of this. Then I spotted it. A gas station up ahead, its lights flickering like a beacon. Relief flooded me. I pulled into the lot, pretending to check my phone. "Need gas," I mumbled. As I stepped out, I left the engine running and the driver's door slightly ajar. My plan was simple. Run. Run into the gas station and get help. But as soon as I rounded the car, I saw it. Her reflection in the window. She was holding the knife now, staring at me through the glass. I froze, my breath hitching in my throat. She stepped out slowly, the knife glinting in the pale light. And then she spoke, her voice eerily calm. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I can't let you go." My fight-or-flight instincts kicked in. I bolted toward the gas station, screaming for help. The attendant inside looked up, startled, and unlocked the door just as I reached it. I stumbled in, locking the door behind me. "Call the cops," I gasped. The attendant grabbed the phone, but when we looked outside, she was gone. Just gone. My car was still running, the door hanging open, but she had vanished into the night. The cops arrived 20 minutes later. They found nothing. No footprints, no sign of her. It was like she'd never been there. When I got home that night, shaken but relieved to be alive, I found something on my passenger seat, a folded note. All it said was, "You're lucky. Not everyone gets away."